Good morning, everybody. It is your buddy Chop It On coming at you another MLB Hyper Simple Slate Breakdown brought to you by the one, the only DFSArmy.com, your one-stop shop for all things daily fantasy sports, PGA to MMA to everything in between. We're going to talk MLB today, 15-game slate to break down. Can he do it in 15 minutes? I say it all the time. It never works, but let's try it today. We're going to get your research pointed in the right direction, and then you're going to run off and you're going to individualize your thoughts and make your own lineups and hopefully win, and tag me out on Twitter at Chopadong. Use the DFS Army account at DFS Army. I don't care which one you use. We love bragging on our winners. If what we do helps you, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and contemplate becoming a member inside DFSArmy.com by using the link in the comments section, using that coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P, to make yourself a better, more competitive player today. That's what we do. We love coaching you up and helping you build better lineups. Let's dive in today to We're going to talk pitching, but first we've got to scroll down the list and see if we can't find some weather issues. We've got a large slate on our hands. No weather. Thunderstorms out in Colorado, possibly 50-50 shot all day long. So what that means for arms, typically to me, it puts me off the arms. I don't really worry about the bats because the 50-50 showers, baseball players can come, bats can come and go with delays. Arms don't typically return once they get pulled or put to the sideline for a rain delay. Nothing. So really only the one weather concern over there in Colorado, so that's a good thing. Let's start with pitching, because when we combine salary, Vegas, and strikeout upside, a lot of times we can get a sample of the slate and see who's going. Now, are we going to miss some plays from time to time? Sure. Was Martin Perez on my lineup in my lineups last night? No. Did I need him to win in cash games and hybrid type lineups, the safer contests and smaller GPPs? Probably not. But it certainly helps if we can find those guys. So today we start off with, Griffin Canning? Small sample warning, $6,700, but look at how he's priced up on DraftKings. DraftKings isn't screwing around. That's an indicator. That's a good indicator that this kid might be for real, or at least DraftKings is taking him seriously, and FanDuel might be slow to adjust. Whereas over on DraftKings, you might take Colin McHugh over Griffin Canning, but on FanDuel, you should certainly take the $2,000 and run. Build better bats. Because if these pitchers are remotely the same, you've got a cheaper one here. And ultimately, that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to build value. It's like if I only have $250 for the grocery store for the week and I need to go try and get $400 worth of food, I have to buy stuff on sale. If you only have a $60,000 salary cap in your lineups and you're trying to get the point equivalency of $80, $90, $100,000 worth of production, you're going to win. If you can pull it off, you're going to win. You're going to buy more points than I'm able to if I stick to the $60,000 cap. If you can find players on discount, on sale, and get the cheaper players that are mispriced, you have the advantage, and that's what we're trying to do. Griffin Canning's a high-risk guy on a small sample, but in his one start scored 22 FanDuel points. Not bad for $6,700. Colin McHugh is probably one of my pitchers on the slate. You got a minus 220 out of Vegas, a 520 K-score facing Kansas City, which is a little less than intimidating offense, although they've been playing pretty well lately. I'm going to be considering this. I love the $8,000 range on FanDuel because it allows me to build good lineups worth of bats, and it allows for a lot of upside if I catch a really good night out of that pitcher, and brings a lot of value. Now, it's leaving the safety of the normal safety of a Steven Strasburg behind at 11-3 because he's a better pitcher than Colin McHugh. I don't think anybody would argue that. But dollar for dollar, now we've got an underdog. He's got a little higher K-score, but he doesn't have the security of the win. Vegas doesn't think the team will win, which means Strasburg might give up some runs. Facing Milwaukee, we know they can hit the ball out of the yard, and it's a hitter's park. Why would I take on Milwaukee when I have other options, other safer options? I would in GPPs if I wanted to take a shot at Steven Strasburg. He can strike out 10 or 12 and win the slate, but it's not necessarily a safe risk to take. I opt for a little bit of safety in my pitchers most of the time because I play smaller contests where I don't need the wackadoodle thing to happen at super low ownership to win. I can get moderate ownership and still win by taking safe players with upside and sticking to the best play on the slate. That's how I tend to coach inside DFS Army for those of you that know me. For those of you that don't know me and you want to learn to build a better, more fundamental lineup, you might use me, and then you might learn from me and take my stuff to the next level with other coaches that are GPP oriented, that are taking more risk, that are showing you where to really capitalize and leverage the low ownership stuff for the big prize. I'm going to get you halfway there. They're going to take you the rest of the way. I'm going to teach you how to play cash games and hybrid lineups and 100-man leagues and things like that. And then they will teach you how to build the $2,000, $5,000, $25,000 tournament lineups that could possibly turn a dollar into thousands of dollars. That's how we're organized. Mr. Ryu here is probably not on the slate today, only because Cubs are hot. 503 is a lower K score. I can get better. No line yet, unless it comes out as a minus 200 or something. Probably won't sway me. And he's $1,000 more than Colin McHugh. So when I combine those three things together, I think McHugh's the better value. When I look here at Fried, why would I take Fried? He's a shiny new toy from a couple of weeks ago. No line on him either. 457, even lower K score. Why? He's capped. LA is only striking out 19.8% of the time against the opposing pitcher, and I want somebody who strikes out more often than that. I want a San Diego. I want somebody who strikes out a lot. Berrios can definitely do damage, but at $2,000 more, do I need to spend the money? I might in a GPP, but I get lower Vegas confidence. I do get the same K score, but with this K score being the same, why would I take lower Vegas confidence for $2,000 more? If it was $2,000 less, maybe, but it's not. It's $2,000 more. Same with Noah Syndergaard. Noah Syndergaard could be great. Minus 130, same. Why am I dropping off the 220? 518, it's lower than this 524. Faces San Diego, which is great, but Syndergaard's K stuff hasn't been up there, I guess, because San Diego's has. But I don't need to dive that deep when I look at these things. I might take a Tanaka. Look, another one that's priced way up. You had a big price up here, FanDuel and DraftKings differing. Playing the matchups more on DraftKings leads you to believe that he's a bargain on FanDuel. So Tanaka and Canning might be my lead pitchers. I probably feel a little bit safer with McHugh. Tanaka's not terrible at the minus 150 and the 495 K score, but I'd rather have the 220 and the 524 for roughly the same price. I'd rather take on Kansas City than Seattle, although Seattle's been relatively cold lately. I just like the fact that they're priced up. Okay, so those would be my FanDuel pitchers. Now, they work on DraftKings too because they are priced up, but they are still affordable. I would just look for a little better bargain, like a McHugh. Tanaka might find his way in there. Canning feels a little bit overpriced for that, but he might bring value if he's truly the pitcher we're seeing. Fine, but those are kind of the questions you got to ask yourself over on DraftKings versus FanDuel when you're just going for who's the best pitcher I can find versus who are the two best pitchers I can find, because you're going to sacrifice a lot of times up here at the top end to take a couple of guys down here in the lower end of tier 1 when it comes to DraftKings. So these are our good pitchers. Who are our bad pitchers? We're going to jump over here into the DFSA grades for these pitchers, and we're going to look at the top. We're seeing a lot of the same names. That's a good thing, but when I scroll down here to the bottom and I see under a 20, I see, 5 or 6 pitchers to pick from? For Velasquez on down. So if I go over to Velasquez down, I would be looking at Baltimore, Chicago, LA, Cleveland, Minnesota, New York, Boston, Washington. These would be my first stacks. Now I want to cross-check that with some other information. So I like to use a number like Sierra. Who should be pitching to a crappy Sierra, a crappy ERA? I'm looking at Rodriguez again. I'm looking down here at these guys in the 5s. So it does verify a little bit of what I see and brings some strength to these stacks, right? And the other thing that I like to do is I like to look at what the pitcher gives up. I can come down I can look over here possibly and look for, hard contact numbers, things like that, pitchers, WOBA against, et cetera, et cetera. I can also find that in my batting tab. And when that loads up, I can look over here at things like matchup WOBA, because there's what the pitcher gives up to handedness. And if I sort this by descending and bring the high WOBAs to the top, the pitchers that give up high WOBAs, I should see a lot of the same guys. See, I see the Mets are in a good spot. I see San Diego's in it. Oh, interesting. San Diego's, St. Louis, good spots, because to handedness, the pitcher, Quantrill and Dakota Hudson, are giving up an awful lot. Yeah, these are the opponents. These are the stacks, and these are verifying out. New York Mets were on the list. Philadelphia's on the list. Detroit, I don't know if Detroit's on the list. I did not write them down. But they're going, Canning giving up a 410 WOBA against is interesting. Washington, LA, some more names are echoing. Chicago White Sox, Texas, Minnesota. These are pitchers giving up high WOBAs against to handedness, and these are the bats that we should be focused on. So when I go through and look at pitchers that are struggling against not just handedness, but both righties and lefties, because I want pitchers that give up hits to everybody. And I underline on my list, I've got Baltimore, LA, the Angels, Cleveland, Minnesota, Boston, Houston, and Pittsburgh. Houston, for instance, is giving up a 332 to lefties and a 347 to whiteys. To whiteys. How about that? To righties. And Pittsburgh's giving up a 316 to lefties and a 469 to righties. So you would definitely prefer right-handers in the Pittsburgh lineup. As opposed to a Colorado going up against Madison Bumgarner, who's given up a 240 to lefties, but a 338 to righties. You would only consider righties in the Colorado lineup, unless you go to a quick flash of BVP and you come over here to the Colorado situation against Bumgarner and look at Charlie Blackmon, who's a lefty, and see that he's 12 for 33 lifetime with a double and a couple of runs scored and a 765 OPS. Okay, that's not great. 394 slug, not great. 339, well, okay, not great. So lefty on lefty, Charlie Blackmon's typically one to check. He's got a large enough history against Mad Bum. It looks like Mad Bum holds him back a little bit, so that's a good thing. We'll go through BVP special stuff for our VIPs a little bit later down the road. So if you want to contemplate becoming a VIP, of course, I'm going to remind you, go down into the link, hit the dfsarmy.com link, use the coupon code CHOP, and get in here today and start learning from some of this stuff. We'll go through a little bit more data and show our VIPs where to go with coaching picks, cheat sheets, and all sorts of great things like that, as well as deeper dives into data, which we like to do. But I focus on the trends tab, and that's pretty much all I do. I don't dive a lot deeper than that myself. Our other coaches do. I sort out by L7 WOBA, and I got about 4 minutes to blow through some of these teams if I want to get this thing done in 15 minutes. So let's look at Baltimore, since we like them going up against Hector Velasquez and he's giving up WOBA to both righties and lefties, and he's a high Sierra bad rating pitcher. So let's look at Baltimore and see if we can't find some hot bats. Small sample size for Santander here. I don't know where I would go with that one. If he started, I might take a chance on him. But Dwight Smith and Pedro Severino are the two bats I'd be looking for. The rest of them are a little schleppy. But I wouldn't mind running a mini stack of these two out there tonight. I look at another one like the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, and I'm looking at a Lucroy. 514 WOBA over the last 7 days, jumped from a 350. His last 7 days have been hot, hot, hot. I may even scroll over a little bit and look at his ISO. Last 7 days, ISO 600. He's popping the ball pretty good. Love Lucroy tonight. Would be the foundation of one of my stacks. Ride the hot hand. 392 from a 342. Okay, I might consider some Kevin Smith. Might consider a little Cole Calhoun if he starts. This 383 and 383 indicates it's the same. He is picking up at bats, so he's not hurt. I haven't used the Los Angeles Angels in a while, so I have to refresh my mind every time they hit the radar. Tonight to hit the radar. I don't like necessarily what I see in a lot of hot bats to choose from outside of Lucroy, so maybe I use him as a one-off and I move on. But the team overall is in a great spot. Cleveland should be another one that's in a great spot, but probably doesn't have a lot of hot bats in it. Oh, they've picked up the pace. We've got 3 to look at now. And a 318 to 369 would be tolerable if they threw Francisco Lindor into a stack. Santana, Perez, Luplow, if they get the at-bats. And Lindor might be okay. I would like to see Jose Ramirez pop into my lineup, but I just can't take him yet. 350 to 308, it's not great. Can't take him yet. Still need to see a little bit of hotness starting to form in that Cleveland lineup before I get too terribly excited about it. But again, they're in a great spot tonight. These are the time when the numbers conflict. It throws me off, and I don't like what I'm doing. I like looking at the numbers, the logic, the way that I look at them, and looking for the hot bats. Minnesota was hot a couple of weeks ago. Looks like they've cooled off. A lot of their guys have dropped off. 410 for Scope. Nelson Cruz at almost a 400. So we look like we've only got, tonight might be the kind of night where we only take 2 from here and 2 from there and 2 from here and 2 from there. And we lean, once that happens, we realize we're not building a heavily stacked lineup. We're building a little bit more balanced lineup. Therefore, we might allocate more of our resources towards cash games. Instead of playing so many GPPs, let's say I had $100 to spend the night, and instead of putting, $60 in cash games and $40 in GPPs, I might slant it tonight when I'm building lineups that are more balanced with only 2 here and 2 there. I might start tipping the scales more to 80 to 90% cash and 10% GPPs. Because I'm going to let the slate dictate where I go. That's very, very different than what you learn as you're growing in this game. Is you start thinking, oh no, I need to build a GPP lineup, so I need to stack. Well, not if it's not the best play tonight. If the best play tonight starts, as you do your research, starts forming along the lines of, ooh, I can only take a couple from here. Ooh, I can only take a couple from there. You just need to trigger your brain and go, oh, that's a more balanced lineup. So maybe I need to start thinking more about cash games tonight. That's how you're going to perform. The nights, we had a long season, 5 months to go still. You've got good nights and bad nights. You're going to have GPP nights and cash nights. Learn to recognize them. Play accordingly. Boston. Hopefully we find more of a main stack in Boston tonight. There it is, all the 400s. They're going to be pricey, but you look at Chavis, Vasquez if he starts, Betts, Devers, Nunez. Oh, Nunez is coming on. Low at bats. He needs to be in the starting lineup tonight, but last 7 days, 409 because he's coming back. Mitch Moreland's starting to spike up a little bit from a 250 to a 404. I like that little run. Benintendi, 380 to a 394 might be viable. We need to see some Bogarts and JD Martinez someday and a Jackie Bradley soon, but I can pick from all these other guys while I wait on those guys. Let their prices continue falling, because if Boston stays hot, then I can continue rocking and rolling when these guys cool off and these guys heat up. Houston and Pittsburgh, and then we'll get out of here. Running a little behind, I apologize, but today's hopefully been really, really quick for you guys. Houston, Brantley, Bregman, Springer, love to see those names. Carlos Correa coming on a little bit with a home run, a couple of nights in a row here. 256 to a 358 for Jake Marisnick. If he gets the start, maybe he's starting to finally heat up. Check the power numbers in the ISO. 409, 600, 330, 250, 330. These guys are all hitting for decent power. Love Houston tonight. Houston and Boston would be strong stacks of mine. I know they're going to be chalky. That's fine. I might 2 off it with a Baltimore, 2 off it with an LA, 2 off it with a Cleveland, and get my ownership differentiation there because, again, in the games I play, 100-man leagues, 500-man tournaments, I don't need to differentiate much because I don't need to have the score of 280,000 points to win. I don't need to be absolutely perfect. I've got a larger margin for error. So I don't need to play the ownership game quite like heavy GPP guys play. I can sit in the smaller GPPs and just grind up a bankroll with some frequent winning. The grand prize isn't as big, but I'm going to do it more often. And I like to play that way because I like to win more often than I like to go through long losing streaks where I sit there and start questioning myself and questioning my process. And, oh, what's happening to me? Does this work anymore? Maybe I need to pay attention to that statistic. No, stick to a system. Pittsburgh, weaker offense. We'll see what it shows. It's got a couple of bats in there. Small sample with Kevin Newman, of course, but Brian Reynolds is getting some at-bats. Josh Bell, nice one-off there, 397 to 450. Check his power numbers really, really quick. Slide over, 409 ISO. Good numbers for Josh Bell. Great one-off tonight. Melky Cabrera, probably not. It's cooled off a little bit. The rest of the bats cooled off a little bit. So another twofer. So I got some... I can load up. I could go to DraftKings and build a 5x2 stack with a one-off, and my one-off could be Josh Bell. My two-off could be maybe out of Cleveland or Baltimore or something, and my 5 stack could be Houston or Boston, and I could build around a couple of cheaper pitchers and probably throw out a pretty damn competitive lineup. This is what we talk about. This is how we build things inside DFSArmy.com. This is how you get your research started in the right direction. Just like the shampoo bottle, lather, rinse, repeat, lather, rinse, repeat. Do the same thing over and over and over again. If it's getting results for you, it will go through hot streaks and cold streaks, but it will come back. If it's not getting results for you, don't beat your head against the glass like a fly, expecting different results by doing the same thing. That is, if you go a month or so, you might change something up. This system has worked for me over the past couple of years. I hope you like it. I hope you like and subscribe to the video. I hope you ring the notification bell so you get drops to your phone when these videos come out. Hopefully you consider becoming a VIP inside DFSArmy.com. Use that coupon code CHOP. I'll say it for a 3rd time today. It's 20% off. Follow me on Twitter. Follow DFS Army on Twitter. Come inside. Get access to the content, tools, and coaching, making people better players. In a couple days, we drop PGA. You know, the next slate. We'll do NASCAR again this weekend where we've got winner after winner after winner every week. We've won, literally won first place in the Trucks series of lineups. I think the last couple of weeks. It's getting to be odd that we are not way up the Truck series lineups. You need to contemplate getting better at other sports, learn the other sports fundamentally sound, and come inside where we're turning everyday Joes into DFS pros. Fear the helmet because you're going to see it all over the leaderboards, and I will check you guys tomorrow. Take care.